Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Douglas Conservation Commission meeting for Monday, February 4th, 2019. And the meeting is being adjourned at starting at 7:05. The first item on the agenda, we have a 7 p.m. public hearing continued request for continuance to March 4th, 2019 at 7:15 p.m. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
And that was
That's
for
right,
Thomas
yeah.
Circle Court Solar LLC. 7:05 p.m. Deer Crossing Development LLC, 45 Woodland Road, minor plan change. On
Hey, how
over.
are you? My name's Dave Marquardt. This is Michael. He's the owner of the property.
Good seeing you again. See you too.
I was here for Deer Crossing Development back in June of 17. This is lot 56, house number 45. The yellow highlighted lot is our locus, South Street being down here. And you might remember we've done a couple recent ones back here, 30, 29, and 31. We're here tonight about 56. So we came in back in June. Wetlands are here, highlighted in the green. 50-foot buffer is here, 100-foot buffer is here. The lot takes this blue shape that's here. We came in back in June with the house being proposed up here in red. Driveway here in red. The existing proposed well here in red. Limit of work was this red line here. Proposed shed here. Anti-creep was along the red. System was slid down a little bit more towards the buffer zone, but out of the buffer zone. So mainly what we were there for was for grading the shed and part of the septic. The project got started. Well, we had an order of conditions. Project got started. The well used to be proposed here, is now in. Some trees have been cut. The apron's been in. They started activity on the driveway, and it stopped for a number of months. Michael and his wife purchased the property January of 19. Hasn't done anything, hasn't started anything. Approached us about making a change from the house from here to the orange. We'll nip in the house inside the buffer zone. What we're looking to do is move this shed out of the buffer up to here, move the house to here, shorten up the driveway, narrow up the driveway. The well is already in, which is there, and then change the limit of work from this red to the purple, from the red to the purple. These two here, 1760, 1740, so these are almost a wash. The previous limit of work was right at the 50. We're looking to move it to the purple. So we're looking to sort of reduce the amount of impervious inside the buffer from 168, and this little ear of the house is 115. We've chatted with Board of Health, and they're okay. And we came in to see Steve last Tuesday with the same idea and asked that he suggested we come in tonight and sort of discuss that small change.
Plus the tanks are moving.
The tanks are moving, yeah, the tanks are inside, the tanks are inside the buffer zone, but okay to the offset to the wetland.
Where's the, is it a shed you're gonna move?
Yep, the shed
Gonna be
was
outside.
there, is way up in there. Yeah, this is a cleaner one as to what we're looking to do, but I just wanted to give you the overall comparison from 17 to 19.
So the only thing really that would remain within the buffer would be that tip of the house.
That's correct. That's correct.
And can you show us the existing tree line?
Existing tree line is right here. Right there, right there, right there, right there, and right there.
So we can keep that existing tree line on the backside there, where there's no grading?
Right here?
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly why this is the new limit of work. So trees would be here, and this would be here. So we're just gonna remove the trees from here to here.
Can we keep them?
We can keep them.
Instead of making, you know,
Yep, we
because
can,
you've
we
got
can,
this.
we can move the purple to here.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
We can move
okay.
that up a little bit, yep. We can do that.
Okay.
You, I'm just curious, can I see the other plan like a
Sure.
minute?
Yep.
Oh, you always had the pool. Did you always have
No, we never had the pool. The pool is new.
the pool's,
There's
it's
the
kind of
pool.
sort of.
New, yeah,
The
the
red-
overlay.
The red was the original.
Yeah,
Driveway, house, system was down here, shed, and then one of the work was in red. So the pool is new.
There's
That's all outs-
minimal.
that's all
yeah,
outside
so-
the-
so
it's outside.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
No, I was just guessing that was the reason why the house moved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we had to do it.
Yeah, so I think that there is minimal grading, and I think if they keep the trees, we can have the tanks within the buffer, and then the grading is associated with that, so you got like a little area on the side, grass swale.
Mhm.
So I'll entertain a motion to consider the changes illustrated on the plan dated
Revised dated of 1/21/19.
1/21/19 as a minor plan change for 45 Woodland Road.
So moved.
Seconded.
All
Yeah.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, if you just move that up to the
Well,
tree
good
line
luck.
on the backside.
I guess he wants to speak.
Yeah,
Perfect.
And your,
Thank you very
your
much.
well's still good, right? It's the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then when you get the erosion control, the erosion control is already in or not quite yet? 'Cause you're
partly
not-
in, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So just
So
give
we'll-
Steve a call.
exactly.
Would would this also indicate your
Limit of work.
Limit.
Yeah,
limit of work, where
Yep.
the erosion controls?
right here in the purple.
Oh, same thing.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I was asking.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate
And we did so much, you know, outside.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
Still outside.
Yep, see
Yeah,
you.
really. CFC.
I'm just waiting.
North
Oh,
Village?
it doesn't, oh, it's discussion. So she got you on for an agenda item. Discussion 7:15 PM, North Brown LLC, North Village, request for certificate of compliance. Come on over, Neil. So Katie, Grace, and I went out to the site. It was completed probably 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The
Right.
repli- It hasn't been
Had
that long.
sufficient
Yeah, the
growth.
replication.
Yeah, so it's very well established, the two replication areas, and everything looks stabilized. They did put some debris, some woody debris as the bed of the stream, kind of mimicking what was there, right? And I think it looks good.
Yeah, but there were a couple of things we noted just during our site walk that I just kind of wanted to recap. We asked them to pull, when the ground's not frozen, to pull any of the hay bale strings out and any of the plastic that you can get out. I mean, obviously without and then we mentioned the trees in the wetlands.
The fallen trees.
No, the little trees that they planted in the wetlands. Do those?
We had a
we were
report.
okay with those?
Yeah, we had a report from Art stating that I mean, it's winter time, so
Mhm.
I think, you know, at our leisure, we could just go back during early spring to make sure that the plastic's gone and if we see anything else.
Yeah, just
Okay.
make sure that those trees are blooming and alive.
Art
Mm.
said, they're what
Okay.
scientist said in his report, so
Good enough.
if they're not, then we have a problem.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I think that they were probably smaller than the caliber that we typically use, right? When they were small saplings 3 years ago.
Yep.
But eventually it was a wooded upland wetland mix there anyway, so.
So you want to go back in the spring and check again? Is that-
I think that if we just keep it on our radar, probably till once it warms up, give you till the end of spring or something to take out the remaining straw wattle
Okay,
materials
so,
and stakes.
okay. Are we?
We're gonna issue
no,
it,
we'll
but
absolutely go in there, pull
we will
pull out
find
what we
you, yeah.
discussed. You
Yeah.
guys are free to come at any time as you
Yeah.
want, yeah.
No, we appreciate
work
that.
on it. Yeah, work on it when you can.
Well, if it stays like this, we can do it next week.
Right?
Yeah, you know it's not gonna.
I know. I can hope.
You can.
So,
I'm confused. Are we saying we're gonna issue it,
Yes.
or we're gonna wait
No.
till the spring?
no, we can, yeah,
It's very well established.
That's fine with me,
Yeah.
yeah. You guys have been there, seen it.
Mm-hmm.
so
I'll entertain a motion
make
to
a
issue
motion to issue
certi-
the certificate of compliance
for North Village.
for North Village.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Great, thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you.
Man, moving right along.
Don't say
Is
it too
there a
soon.
Dennis? No, not Dennis. Is there a 12 college
Dermot?
college? Here.
He's not here.
The other ones you have to wait.
Mm-hmm. Was 170 West Street continuing?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's the one that's way up there. And the access road is right on the... Can we talk?
Yes.
You can already look.
You can talk.
We're in a meeting.
Yeah, I know.
Getting
Yeah,
recorded.
it's got the access
Yes, you
road
are
right
being
on the
recorded
outside.
and is available on the website.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So Maria did send an email that MACC would like the money before we get the handbooks. So I
Oh.
request, so we can't really do that until we receive the items. We can't pay. So I asked for town council's opinion on if we can get one and then pay and then get the other one, or how. I'm not really sure how that's gonna work. I'm still trying to get them.
Good. The town wants you to have the things first.
Before they pay for them. Services received. It's just the way it goes. So we'll see.
Okay. Don't they regularly deal with towns?
Yes, they said that they haven't gotten paid for the books in the past.
Oh, okay.
Steve, did you hear anything about our MACC handbooks? How we're able to coordinate for 2 more of those for new members? Yeah, she said the email stated that they won't give them to us until we pay for them. We need to pay first.
Okay. Really?
Every,
So in the email, in the same email about the land use for Concom land, I've requested how we can do that, how we can get the books.
Call
Is it
my
always-
contacts there.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to just give us one and then we pay for one and then give us a second one.
Wasn't Brandon or Brendan, wasn't he on?
Brandon?
Brandon, wasn't he on the?
He was president.
No, he was on the board.
Yeah.
I'll forward that to him. Let me see if he has
Is
to
this
say
some-
anything.
this is something new? that they
Yeah.
want Pay in advance?
Okay. I think we're good.
I
for it.
CC'd you on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, no.
I mean, I guess
7:30.
we're a municipality. I mean, I think it's a little different than the general public.
Oh, I think they're talking about municipalities.
Oh, really? Not paying their bills?
I don't know who they said, but Maria did try. A couple weeks ago, she emailed
Well, we
me.
can do it first off. We'll talk to Jean.
You wanted to go over minutes? We've got
Oh,
10
yeah,
more
we got,
minutes.
we got a bunch of them.
And we can actually sign this certificate too. That's for North Village.
Yep. It is.
She didn't put minutes on here.
Mhm.
Maybe that's because
They're right
it's the
here.
first time we've seen them.
We've seen minutes before.
Mine doesn't say that. Oh, yeah, it does. Excuse
It's
me.
okay. It's
There
all
we
right.
are.
It's the Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah. Hmm.
Sorry, I just grabbed your signature. Let me put this away. Thank you, sir.
The missing ANRAD number, is that
And
okay? It's 7:19 PM.
Do you want to look that up for us, Steve?
What's that?
November 15th minutes. Excuse me, November 5th minutes. 7:19 PM at the bottom of the page, there's an ANRAD number
Let me see.
missing.
Okay.
I've got
Not
it in.
complete.
I've got an ANRAD number. What number? What date is it? November 5th?
5th, yeah,
Yeah, it's right here. Oh, that one?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's there in writing, I don't
They
know.
withdrew that, I believe, right? They never got one issued.
No, they still have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 000.
That's because at the time it wasn't issued.
Okay, what's the number?
Hang on. 1 second.
I've got it right here.
Did-
0968.
Do I,
0968.
does it,
We didn't have it at that time, though.
okay. We don't know who talked to us about the property.
Well, there should be the login sheet.
Okay.
We
Well,
usually got that
an,
attached.
an unidentified gentleman joined the meeting.
Right, so we need to,
Where's that?
At the, both here, when it starts, and again in the
body,
following
yeah.
paragraph, when the unidentified gentleman stated that paved road and pond had been created.
maybe Bradford Saunders. He wrote us the extension request. Steve, could we look at the the login?
Right now?
No,
Yeah.
after, for
Yeah.
her to,
I'll
we,
look.
sometimes we get the copy of the login sheet.
Well, this is way back in November.
Oh, this was, I
Okay.
don't
Yeah,
So
I'll
we-
have Maria look it
Yeah.
up. Or it should be the applicant. I think it's the guy whose name's in the notice of intent. Probably. But we'll take a look.
Okay. Yeah.
You gotta,
GEI consultant, so it could have been Bradford Saunders.
Yes.
Was the name on the,
Bradford Saunders.
okay.
That's
So
where they-
please,
that's
so
where
let's
they-
confirm that.
That's where the
Bradford?
corresponding with,
Bradford Saunders, the person that signed the request for the extension, for the continuance, I mean. That's good. We'll just confirm that.
page 2, we have, an NOI number incomplete, I don't know.
I got my list here. What street is it?
79 Ledgestone. So if we don't have it available at that time, are you gonna get picky about that?
It's gonna be 0965.
Who was it, Linda Brown that said,
Well, if it's,
did
this
that.
is supposed to be an account of what happened at the meeting. If you're searching for
more
something.
info doesn't have, yeah.
Right.
Doesn't hurt, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, good point.
Are we still looking at December 5? Here
November 5.
we go. November 5th. That was a lengthy discussion, but I think it got long.
Anybody ready?
What's that?
Third page, she.
Old?
She
No,
has
this
got,
is, this is for.
Oh, so they're putting quotes because a name was not provided, and that was how the
Complainant.
complainant phrased it, and so
Mhm.
I don't know. It does look awkward in the minutes, but I don't know how else I would have stated that.
yeah, but it's hard to tell what she's even referring back to.
Well, that's
Mrs. Murphy?
No, well,
Miller, excuse me?
but he didn't say that, right? He said he just used the pronoun. He didn't identify a person.
Yeah, that's why she's putting in quotes, because we don't know who he's talking
Who
about.
he's referring to. I understand you can
I would just leave it.
yeah.
Oh, you got your article from the local newspaper?
Yeah.
Okay. You good?
Pardon?
Are you good?
I'm good.
Let me hear.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as amended for November 5th, 2018.
We hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we took care of November 5th. Now let's get back to the agenda for the 7:30 PM public hearing continued 170 West Street, Douglas Renewables LLC.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Murphy with Beals and Thomas. I'm the engineer for the solar project for 170 West Street, Douglas Renewables LLC. I brought some handouts with me to facilitate our discussion. Some photos that were taken on a site visit on the 18th of January, as well as a copy of our most recent letter, which addresses the Mass DEP comments that were issued for the project. So I'd just like to pass those out now before I get started, and I will run through the plan edits
I
here.
think we have a copy of the notes in our folder.
Excuse me, what was that?
We had the copy
Oh.
of these notes in the
Oh, you
folder.
did
We
have
didn't
them? Okay.
We didn't have the pictures though.
Sure. Yep. So first and foremost, the plan changes that we've gone through have addressed a number of things that were discussed last time with the commission, as well as discussion items that were brought up with the planning board. So I'll start with the first thing, which was an item that was identified on a site walk that Steve had provided in his initial site visit. There is an additional resource area that we've delineated here at the entrance to the site here. This is West Street. So there's an area where water is flowing from the neighbor's barn here, which we've now incorporated, and it starts at this wetland flag 18 and basically projects out from there. Does a little bit of a angle bend there. So essentially what we've now done is we've accounted for this area in our design, which I'll show you in a moment here. We've added a culvert in this location for our proposed driveway. So this is the updated site plan. So our driveway access to the site here is coming off of West Street. We had to expand this area a little bit due to turning movement considerations, which was a public safety discussion that we had with the planning board. So we had to make this entrance area a little bit wider here. So this is going to be a crushed stone tracking pad here. And we've added in a culvert pipe, which is going to go beneath our driveway, which is going to maintain the connection of flow from this area here next to the barn. So that's going to essentially provide...
There's a photo right here, so,
yes.
all right.
Oh,
Oh, that's a good one.
Yep, so that's the area we're talking about, and also on the first page of your handout also shows that exact, very same area where we've added additional flags. You can see that's wetland flag 18 in the foreground of that photo. So essentially, we're going to basically put a culvert there. The driveway is going to run essentially right through where that, kind of the middle portion of that photo. So that's our plan to address that, to make sure that that flow path is maintained and it's not going to impact the neighbor's property here. And so as we now have some impacts here to the wetlands, we have had to incorporate a wetland replication area in this location here of approximately 780 square feet, which is the 1.5 ratio that is required for this impact here. Another change that we've made since the last time the commission saw the plan is we've moved this wetland replication area for the wetland crossing, which is in here, onto the northern side of the wetlands, and that way the area here also, we've reduced the wetland replication ratio down to 1.5 to 1, which was another thing that was previously discussed. So we have done that as well, and we've tried to make it more linear along the edge of the existing W here. And just to mention some other changes that you may notice as well in our discussions with the planning board, one of the requests that they did have was to create a larger turnaround area here. This is, you know, outside of the 100-foot buffer, however, and outside the main gate of the facility, which is located all the way up here. So we have had to add an additional stormwater basin here because of this additional turnaround area. And that was basically to ensure adequate turnaround if they wanted to get a fire truck or a larger vehicle in here to turn around. And another thing that in our review of the stormwater, working with Bill Cundiff, he had also identified the request for a stormwater basin down towards the low point of our roadway here. So we have another small basin here, which is basically going to capture runoff from this section of the driveway here. So we now have multiple measures of stormwater in place to capture this portion of the driveway here, which is up gradient of our wetland crossing. So I'd now like to show you some of the plans that we've added to the set here to help clarify the crossing. We've added a much larger view of the crossing itself, and we've added sequence phasing to it. We've added construction sequencing notes, and we've provided very specific sequencing notes here for the crossing itself. So phase one of the project is essentially from the West Street into the north side of the crossing here, including the wetland replication area. So that first initial phase is going to stop right here before the crossing, and we've added additional information here. This is an existing field area here. It's going to basically be the temporary contractor staging parking area, stockpile area of soils as well with erosion control barriers. So this is kind of going to be our little staging operation in this location. And we've added also a detail here. So this phasing approach describes phase one, which I've just talked about, and then phase two, which is essentially the temporary crossing itself. So basically, phase one will occur, and then there will be a site visit made to basically review the wetland replication area, make sure that it's been constructed appropriately, and upon approval of that area, that it's been completed satisfactorily, we will begin work on the crossing itself. So that is going to include the initial installation of erosion control barriers and the preparation of the actual crossing. And I'm proposing a phased approach here in that we're proposing a temporary crossing that will consist of timber mats before the permanent bridge is installed here. And the reasoning for that is basically, in order to be able to build this bridge, there's a certain level of access that they're going to need, really from both sides, to be able to appropriately stage these areas and prep them before they can build the permanent bridge. So this is kind of a means of establishing that the way they can kind of work at it from both sides. This bridge is going to be part of a design-build contract with a specialized bridge contractor, where they will basically come in based upon the scheduling of their availability, and the site work contractor is responsible for having that area ready and prepared for them to be able to get their equipment in so they can install the bridge structure itself, which will consist of the installation of timber pilings on both sides of the stream, and then subsequently they will install timber pile caps on top of that. And we'll flip to that detail so you can see.
So you're not planning on stockpiling any BVW materials? You're gonna bring everything in to create the replication area and then work on the crossing?
That's the approach, is to try to keep it a more segmented approach.
Do you think it's because the soils are not good in the BVW area? I heard that.
Through the crossing?
Yeah, the bony, it's too bony, or
I
it's not?
believe that there's probably not a whole lot of material there that they could harvest. There's a lot of boulders and things directly underneath that initial kind of mat of vegetation and things. So as you can see from this photo here, I'm presuming this is in the location of the proposed bridge. There's a lot of you know, the bridge itself is going to span that
Fields,
channel,
yeah.
but you can see the approach kind of on either side is a very kind of bouldery type area. So
As well, so wherever that is.
Yeah. Flag 12 is 16. Bank flag 12 is right about
So
here.
it's close, yeah.
And so what are you doing with that material? So just walk me
Yep.
through
Sure.
as you're creating that replication area.
Yes.
Where are you putting that material?
That
You're bringing it
material.
off site?
That material is going to have to be stockpiled in this area over here. They're going to have
Is
to.
there a note that that's the stockpile area?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Temporary
I
stock.
thought the guys were parking there.
Well, they are. They're going to be parking over here. I mean, there's going to be an area here where they're going to have to stockpile the material, and then they're going to have also an area over here. It's going to be a little bit of a, you know, means and methods type sequencing of how exactly they're going to phase that.
And is there a reason behind, so you've got the erosion control going to the stockpile area.
Correct.
Is there a reason why you have that all the way there?
This right here
Mm,
or right here?
this whole thing, right here.
Right. So.
Since it's outside of our jurisdiction. Is there a reason? I'm just envisioning there's not gonna be a lot of room. And
No, I
that
mean,
little
this-
spot
yep,
with
so this is-
everybody parking there.
This is the edge of the, you know, there's a row of trees here basically
Yeah, I see
between
the
where.
tree line, and
Yep.
then that old barn or shed,
Correct.
whatever.
So
you want.
so this was a structure that through our discussions was we were going to be removing this structure.
Yeah.
The way it is out there, and you can see in my handout, there is a kind of a, oh, you've got pictures up here. You can see that there's kind of more of a row of trees between this existing building and this side of where the open field is. So that's kind of looking down the edge of the mode area. So that's a little bit more towards the property line itself. So that's kind of looking down this
Yeah,
edge here.
Right.
So this area is it's kind of like a semicircle shaped field there. So this whole area is going to be available for that staging and stockpiling area. And that's the intent, is to utilize that space as kind of a phased approach.
So it's getting stockpiled there. Then you're bringing more material in. Right? The soils. You're bringing in soils off-site for the replication.
Well, we're going to have to bring in material, yeah, to build the replication area
So-
itself.
Okay.
That material is eventually going to have to be moved onto the site itself.
So why are you stockpiling, I guess, where the replication area is going? Why are you stockpiling it there? Why don't you just move it where you're gonna move it?
So, my
Or take it
understanding.
off-site?
Well, we're not intending to remove material from the site. My understanding from the discussion last time was that there was a concern that, you know,
Crossing
the,
it
the
to do
crossing,
the other
the
side.
crossing was
Right.
was going to be done kind of, and this was all going to be done concurrently. However, I thought the concern was going to be that we wanted to keep everything on this side until such
Or you're
time.
supposed to remove the crossing materials to use for the replication, that's why.
Right, but they're not going to realistically be able to recover that much material because there's not enough of it. So they are going to have to supplement that as well.
So what's the stockpiled material going to be used for? Maybe that's more direct.
This
question.
material?
Yes.
They're going to have to excavate material to build out this area. So it's a staging area.
What
right?
is it gonna be used for? If you're bringing in wetland soils for that spot?
Yes.
So what are
They
you
can-
doing with the rest of the material?
They can bring it to the outer periphery of the site over here, because there's going to be a significant amount of space on the entire array site that they can utilize. This entire area on the fringe here is going to be available. So there's really no need for the material. The material is only going to be here temporarily. The idea is to have this crossing in place, which is essentially going to then open up this area so that you can get into the site. it's going to be more constrained.
He has to put
Where
it
did
there.
it make?
There
more
has to, it's an
He has
order
to
of
put it there.
operations.
He can't
Okay.
cross.
So
We
wha-
can't get, if the
Does it not
concern
make
was.
sense to remove and do the crossing, then do the replication area and move that dirt once instead of stockpiling it? So you do
Well-
your crossing.
Right. My understanding from the discussion last time was that there was a concern with doing everything kind of all at once, getting into the site and the traffic across here. So the revised approach is do this piece first, then once these replication areas are done first and suitably, then the crossing can be built, and then that will open up the possibility of them being able to bring material into this area and start to get the site work being completed.
Typically.
Aren't you doing a temporary crossing anyway?
Well, typically, like I know what Tracy's saying, is that usually you do it in concurrence. So you prep
Right.
you get the
Sure.
you get the replication area to grade, you
Yes.
drive it out, and then you get it a foot or so below what you're supposed to have.
Yes.
And that material gets, and then as you're doing the crossing, that height
Right.
of soil that's suitable for wetland activity, you put whatever you can back into the replication area, and then if you have to supplement, then you
It
supplement.
shouldn't be, more.
What you're saying is you're gonna create the whole thing before you do the crossing, so
Right.
any supplement material, even though it's minor and it's not that much, you're just gonna discard, or you're gonna put somewhere else on site.
Well, yeah, again, that was my interpretation of what the comments that were given to me from the last discussion, was that this needed to happen before that. So that was my response to that.
I think the location of it was not good. That it wasn't. It was,
Sure.
and it was
But also
creating
it
a
was-
temporary crossing.
You were concerned with the temporary crossing.
Yeah, but they're doing one anyway.
So even in order to do the temporary crossing, they're basically gonna have to almost start building the road, and that's kind of what I wanted to kind of clarify. So, they're essentially, I provided a cross-section, there was questions about the actual structure of the road itself. So I provided a detail here. So essentially, they're gonna have to go in, they're gonna have to basically remove all, trees, vegetation through this area on either side of the crossing here. They're then going to have to excavate down, remove that initial, organic soil layer. And then we have basically a layer of trap rock, which is gonna be kind of like a drainage base for the road. So essentially, that is gonna be the first step of creating this area. They're gonna have to excavate out those unsuitable organic materials, and then they're gonna have to bring in that initial layer of rock fill for drainage. And then I'm proposing that we'll be able to use timber mats to establish a temporary bridge over top of the stream. They can layer up the mats. It's very commonly done on utility projects and alike. They will be able to then drive vehicles across this area while not, protecting that channel by layering up the mats and creating a little cross through here. And then that will provide the opportunity to install the erosion controls on this side of the site and begin to start roughing in the road so that they can then have that area available for further staging, and they can start to develop the various swales and stormwater basins up here. And then the timing will be that the site work contractor will need to have this area ready and prepped so that when the bridge contractor arrives, they can come right in with their machines and they can install the timber pilings and the actual bridge structure itself. And then they basically will backfill behind those timber abutments here that they're going to construct. And I did provide some photos in the packets that I had distributed, which show a very, very similar project that we did up in Winchendon. So that's on the last page of that photo packet.
Okay. So DEP's got, if the temporary crossing can't be avoided, how long will it stay in place and how many vehicle trips? I don't see you've responded with, you've just said that there's an additional sequence plan. Did you
Yeah.
respond through the sequence plan?
Yes, so the sequence plan explains kind of the time frame we're looking at here. And we're certainly willing to look at, you know, a reasonably, we want to keep this as short as possible. It's just a buffer of these, you know, specialized bridge contractors are doing projects all throughout the country. They kind of have a very tight time window where they say, we need this ready on this day. And then the site work contractor will target that to be able to hit that, and then they can just come in, bring their machines in, build the bridge, and then this whole temporary crossing will be replaced with the finalized
Okay,
permanent
so
crossing.
How long will it stay in place?
That
The
is-
temporary crossing, how long will it stay in place?
I can't answer that at this time because it's all based upon the timeline of when the contractor for the bridge can actually come and build that bridge. There's a certain, you know, buffer. You know, we'd be willing to talk about maybe a condition of a certain time frame, whether it's
So there's two
Agreed.
different people doing, one's doing a temporary crossing, one's doing the actual timber bridge.
correct. The site work contractor will install a temporary crossing, but there's a specialty contractor who does come in, and they specialize in the timber bridge construction, and they are on a very specific time frame. So the idea is to try to be able to work within that and have some measure of flexibility while providing a suitable, adequate,
Well, so
traversable, you know, route for vehicles.
you said specific, but you don't know when that is.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, in speaking in general, is okay, you know, there's a 3-month, you know, what I'm trying to explain is that I don't know when that specific day is, but they will provide a specific time frame to say, we're gonna be here based upon our availability on, you know, whatever.
But you guys don't
August
have that
15th.
yet.
We do not have that yet.
Okay.
How many vehicle trips are expected across the crossing, the temporary crossing?
I mean, it's gonna depend on the timing of how long this is in place. Basically, what they're really gonna need this for is they're gonna need to be able to get into the site. They need to gonna get equipment in here to
Clear the
install erosion controls. And then they're gonna have to get the tree clearing equipment in to come in and clear the trees. And then they're gonna have to have the equipment in here to, basically, I believe they'll be chipping the trees, so they'll have some trucks that'll be coming in to go in and out through this area. So they're gonna create, you know, this is gonna be a real drivable road, no question about it. They're gonna need to have trucks going across it, and they're gonna need to have this thing built adequately from both sides. And then,
Did you put a time of year for the restriction of the construction?
I mean,
So in your sequence?
yeah,
Right.
so,
Low flow, you mean?
Yes.
I mean, I think that this can really be constructed at any time of the year and they can be able to work with.
Permanent or temporary?
I think both. I think that once they get in here and they're able to establish this temporary crossing, it's going to be able to be done at any time of the year. And ideally, it would be happening, you know, during drier times, like in the summer.
Yeah, I think we gotta go with the dry season like we always do
Well, I
for
think
crossings. That's a
Doesn't
generalized
stream crossing
condition.
guidelines state that it has to be done during the low flow period of the year?
Yeah, I mean, that is what we're hoping for.
So
that
does
would
it
be-
state that on there? Cause
Um,
you've answered DEP very vaguely, saying that you've added additional information for site phasing. But you don't really answer any of their concerns. Traversable all times of the year.
Yes.
A permanent crossing will be installed based upon the scheduling of a bridge contractor.
Yes.
So we're gonna want, stream crossing
that-
standards
Yes,
and the
and the-
requirements.
Yes, the bridge is definitely designed to meet the stream crossing standards we have provided.
And
that.
construction of.
Yes. So if it's a matter of adding a condition to the plan to indicate that we have,
I think we do
condition,
that for all,
It's a standard condition.
The low flow period is
yeah.
June to September, or it could be any time of year. I mean, you can have a drought now,
sure.
Not likely.
not likely, but sometimes you do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'd certainly be amenable
So-
to that
Just
type
go
of.
back real quick to the replication. If you were gonna do the replication where maybe it was misunderstanding,
Yes.
it was on the, before you cross, you're gonna carve that out you're gonna take a lot of organic soils to prep for the temporary crossing? You're stripping the whole
The-
roadway of,
Yes, yes.
so all that's a lot of material which you could use for the replication, right?
Yeah.
Is there any reason you can't do it?
I have no issue with that. It was just my interpretation of the prior comments.
So I'm just wondering why we need a temporary crossing.
The temporary crossing is because of the flexibility, because realistically, they really need to get at this thing from both sides when
Yeah.
they come in to build it. They're not gonna be able to really just do it from this, so the idea is to have the contractor's gonna need to get in here and prep these areas so that the bridge installation contractor can get in there. So they're gonna really need some sort of a little staging area on both sides in order to accomplish that task. So that was really the rationale, is to allow for that opportunity to occur.
But you're stripping
But
the
they
whole entire
can-
thing anyway, as a temporary.
Correct.
They can build a temporary bridge
They can build,
from one side only?
they can layer, they can layer out the mats, and they can place the mats in, and they can build out upon the mats, and then that's what they're gonna be able to do to get across there.
Do you have the notes for the temporary crossing on plan?
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
let me just scoot over for 1 second. Sure. Because we don't have,
Yep.
do we have big plans? Trap rock subgrade, so this is the actual crossing, where's the temporary?
This is the temporary crossing here.
Where's the construction sequence for the temporary crossing?
I believe it's reiterated on here. They're gonna be installing this base material first. They're gonna have to remove the organic material, install the stone base material, then they're gonna have to adjust and build the matting on top of that. And they'll create a temporary bridge using the mats.
Is it temporary bridge or temporary crossing?
Well, it's both, right? I mean, this part is the bridge because they need to
Right.
get up over the channel, so they'll layer the mats and they'll basically create a little roadway out of mats up until that point, and then they'll just be able to span right over top of the channel by layering the mats.
But the
When
mats
you
are
build,
gonna,
when you build a timber bridge, which is 8 feet wide, or, well, you have a temporary crossing, then you have a temporary bridge.
Correct. Well, there's,
Do you have to do the do you have to have timber mats going from fill, to, or can you just build the crossing up until or build the roadway up until where the bank is?
right,
they could probably do that as well. They could probably
Instead
build
of
the
having
road
timber
right,
mats
they
going
could
the
build the
whole
road
way.
right up to here, and they could probably create a gravel pad on either side, and they can create a temporary bridge out of the timber mats.
I just don't like dirt being
If you're gonna have
moved
timber
twice
mats at the
at
level
least.
of the, if you're gonna have, so how many timber mats? Show me the length. of
He's
where-
got a
where you plan on
ton,
putting it.
doesn't
Well,
he?
this is
Yeah.
about 130
So if you're
feet
gonna have
or
big
so.
trucks going back and forth on that, if you just built the bridge, if you built the roadway up into the bank area,
Yeah. Yep.
Right before
Yeah.
the
put
crossing.
your timber mat,
Yeah.
and then built it on the other side, so the only thing that's left is your bridge.
Yeah. They could also do it that way. Again, they could build the road right up to there and essentially get to that level. They have the timber mats in place, and they've approached it from both sides, and then they basically built a temporary bridge out of the mats. And then at that point, they could also do that and then come in and have
Would that be a
accessibility.
problem because of the head walls? Is it too high to do that?
I don't believe so. I believe that they could probably do it that way as well. Where they could get, for example, this project that I've shown you a photo here, the topography is a bit different, but if you were to look at this photo
yeah.
here, this project that we worked on in Winchendon, they did a little bit different situation, but if you see this bridge here, so on this side, the topography was higher and the channel was more of like a dip, so they were able to approach it from both sides. So essentially, right where the bridge is now, they were able to span right across from bank to bank using the timber mats. So they essentially had that in place up until they were able to come in.
I mean,
And
this
build.
looks like you could span this.
Sure, I mean, that's what I'm saying, is put the timber bridge,
What's
timber
the-
mats.
What's the width of the crossing? What do we have?
Yeah,
Like,
so
It's just a
Time-
it's
Small
probably
little-
about
5
eight,
feet,
7,
8
8 feet, so we did 1.2 times.
The timber mats are for like logging practices, timber mats?
yeah, minimal.
Yeah, which is supposed to be
Impact.
done during frozen conditions or dry times,
Yes,
which you might not get. I
yep,
think the sooner you can build the
build the road.
road, and then the less temporary you have,
Yeah.
the better.
I guess, yeah, but again, it's more just having a means to get over the stream itself. And I think they can still do that with the timber mats. Like, they'll be able to do that with the timber mats. They'll build the road, and they'll be able to have that material. Like, if, you know, you said it'll create less of a stockpiling hiccup if we can end up using that material there. They'll have
I
to
don't
bring
see
in
how
less.
the stockpile would fit in that spot.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's,
So if you carved out the replication, you prepped the entire roadway, access roadway crossing
Yeah.
up until one side of the same side of the bank you're at, use whatever you can and build that whole area up, so you're almost all done, and then you
Yeah.
just have a little timber mat
They could
over-
just- exactly,
over the
they could just
bank
go-
and wait till the
Yeah.
dry season.
that's essentially what was done on
And
this
then you can
project.
go over, and that other area that you're prepping, there's not much hydric on that side anyways.
Yep.
Right, so that eliminates this, or helps to answer this question that we have, how long are you using the timber mats and how many vehicle crosses are you having? If you have a plan in place that says when you're gonna do all these things, what time of year all these things are gonna happen, you could answer all three of those, well, there's three questions, actually, it's,
It depends
one's
on
actually
when
more of a statement,
construction
only use the
starts.
timber mats during the dry season or frozen. So you might wanna time things out so that you're only using the timber mats during those times, 'cause otherwise you won't be allowed to. And then you should know how long the timber mats will be there, so you can tell us how long they're gonna be there, and you can tell us how many crossings, you can estimate how many
But
crossings you'll
if
have.
you're using the timber mats just for for like a temporary bridge and not a crossing, then, you know.
Right. No, it's,
Yeah, I guess,
we
then
need a
that's different
schedule.
than using it as a
There
temporary.
can't be all these
A temporary
unknown.
road.
Yep,
Your
We
road,
need
your road will be
schedules.
done, so then you can,
Yeah.
you're crossing, you're expanding the resource area.
Yeah, that simplifies things.
Simplifies everything.
yeah, I mean, I'm not averse to that at all. I'm certainly, it's just a matter of,
How
The
long is it taking
location
to
of
build,
the
how long is it
wetland.
taking
Yep.
to build a bridge? When they come in?
they can build it in like 4 or 5 days, I think.
right.
It doesn't take them
Right,
very
so,
long.
but if you had to
But-
time that up to do the rest of the crossing at the same time, if
Yeah.
that's all 95% done and all you have is the bridge,
Right,
then you have 5 days left to finish the project.
yeah, I
Temporary
mean, it would
permanent.
definitely make sense that they could
During a
certainly do
nice
it.
dry July.
Sure, I mean,
Okay.
ideally, that's how the timing would work out.
So I think the replication area relocated, we are good with.
Yeah,
And then we want a revised one with, I think, breaking down the temporary to the permanent, just what we discussed,
Yep.
and then dry season. And
Basically adding a note for dry season,
Mhm.
and for this side here, are we not comfortable with the phasing that we were talking about? Because I
Yeah,
wanna
the
make sure that you're,
I think it all can happen about the same time.
okay,
So I think we're construction sequence,
yes,
we should just have that included there.
okay, so kind of backing away from the rigid phasing of it,
Yeah.
and then more just,
more like a schedule
Make it-
with times of year.
Yes,
Oh.
and, yeah, and.
is there a specific time frame where we can say, how long will this realistically be in place for? I'm thinking no more than probably 2 to 3 months. I can't exactly
The
say.
temporary bridge?
Right,
Yeah,
Again,
so
it's-
if you can schedule, you can shorten that up, 2 to 3 months is a while.
Mhm.
okay.
That's a very long time, so,
And
like
that's
I
what
said,
we're
you're
afraid
gonna
of, you can't.
have to put a schedule, and then if you miss your schedule, you're gonna have to schedule out again so that you're back to a dry time to put that temporary bridge in. So if that means if you miss your date and then you'd have to do like a stop work until you get seasonal conditions that work again.
Yeah, we can't just leave it open and, It's
Like, I
dry
wanna
one day
know
and
That's
then-
why I'm
what the
suggesting
days-
maybe just a time frame on it where we're just, because I can't tell you it's going to be this day, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, let's just put a time frame on it and say, okay, we're not gonna leave it in place
Right,
for
but
any more than 60 days.
It needs to
or-
be tighter than 60 days.
And
Okay.
we would hope that you would have it scheduled where you're moving into the site and you already have the person that's building the permanent bridge in place to move in this day. If it's a week later or a week before, that's okay.
But 2
But
months is too long.
I think you're gonna know when things are happening. And that we need to know.
Yep, I mean, obviously, you'll be well informed of any, before any
So
work
when
happens here.
Steve goes to inspect the erosion control, we're gonna
Yes.
know from the time of the erosion control, it's gonna be this,
Your
you know,
wetland guys
get
should
a
know
starting
that.
point.
Right, I mean, you're not gonna start, you wouldn't go out there today, because it'd be, you'd
It's
have
wet.
to de-water.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
High
suggesting
groundwater.
that.
You don't
I'm
want
not suggesting
right.
that.
You mean,
I'm saying,
you want to go, you know, low groundwater,
right, and that's
low
what,
flow.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think we just need to get a little bit more detailed, so when the contractor's out there and we point to the plan and say, this is what it says, this is what you've gotta follow. That's what we're getting at. Cause we're not gonna be able to be out there all the time. So they need a clear understanding of when they can do things, what activities they can do. A little bit better than, I think it's a little vague.
Okay,
So
well, I
we'll
felt
add
that-
more detail.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's difficult to, I understand what you're saying, and I'm trying to work with that. And again, I don't know if necessarily like adding more things to the plan, like I can add more clarifications to the time of year and
Yeah.
things.
Yes.
Yes.
It's just in terms of,
Jeff Mann.
Sure.
Ethan Giles with Nexamp and Douglas Renewable. Could I just ask if there's a specific duration that the board would be comfortable with for that matting to be down? You're saying 2 to 3 months sounds too long. Is there a specific number you have in mind from other projects in town, or?
I mean, I think 1 month would be
Oh, yeah.
max.
I was gonna say 2 to 3 weeks.
during
Okay.
during June to September,
Okay.
and low
So I
flow,
think
and
you-
then Steve's got to sign off.
I think the
before you do
important part
anything.
for us is not so much the window, but that we have the ability to float the window. So if it were,
Right,
if it were to
yes.
be 2 to 3 weeks, okay, maybe that's workable, but we can't say it's July 1st to July 20th. You know what I
Right.
mean?
You can float that window from
If it's
from
dry,
July
if
to
it's-
September.
if it's 2 to 3 weeks within dry season, that's,
Yes.
perhaps that's a
That's
condition.
exactly what we're saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
We don't want to get into a situation where you're heading into fall and it's flooding and it's half done
Understood.
because it happens.
Mhm.
So we need to be able to lean on what's on
So
the
they
plan
want
that
you-
we approve.
They want you to do as much as permanent as possible.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
which
road
you probably
install.
would, Makes sense to you?
So
I-
take the
yeah.
permanent length of the road right up to the bank.
right,
Mhm.
basically,
Do
Why
that,
you're-
then the
And
matting
then-
to the other side.
And then you can do the
Finish the
permanent,
bridge, get the matting out as soon as possible.
or
Yeah.
you, or you could cross and do the permanent other side. So
Mhm.
all that's left is the bridge when you have that window.
Right,
Mhm.
right. Okay, I think I'm on the same page.
Awesome.
Logistically,
you.
it'd probably be a lot easier for you guys,
Sure,
maybe.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we're good for now. This is a public hearing. Is anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this project? Any questions? No. Seeing none. Steve, what do we have for March?
When do you guys want
4th?
to come back?
I believe, what's the next
The
one, March 4th?
March,
Yeah.
next meeting,
Yes.
We have something
Yeah,
at
7
7:15.
7:30?
March 4th. I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to March 4th at 7:30.
Motion made.
Can I just ask one last question
Yes.
before the vote? With it, sorry, it sounded like there was some concern with the stockpile. So could we just come, is the expectation that we go direct into that, take that material direct into the replacement area? Or are you okay with stockpile if there's more sequencing detail described, or what's the?
It's outside of our jurisdiction. I just thought that was for parking for the guys, for the workers. So I didn't know how that was gonna actually, if they were gonna end up parking somewhere else, because that whole area that's cleared there.
So just talk to your wetland guy. If you're stockpiling hydric soils that are gonna be used for replication areas, there's process for doing that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll follow that process, but other than
Dry
that,
out.
the upland soils,
Right.
I guess I was just a question of why it was right there,
Okay,
where everybody's supposed to be parking.
okay, thank you. We'll
Yeah.
discuss that.
Yeah, it's outside of our jurisdiction though, so. So the motion's been made to continue and
Second.
Mike seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, 7:45, public hearing, 26 North Street, Haywood Landing Associates.
Good evening.
Good evening, do you have the green cards?
I have, this is the tear sheet from
Okay.
that. This is the ones, those are the ones that went out. And these are the ones that came back.
Thank you very much. Can you read that tear sheet?
Yep,
Do you have a magnifying glass?
No,
with it?
I
I'm
can
just
read it.
kidding. I have another one.
We should have a magnifying glass, you know?
I did
Ton
send
of-
you, I sent it via email when
Yeah.
it came in, so you could print it out nice and big.
Nice. Town of Douglas Conservation Commission, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. Legal notice for public hearing. The Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing for Haywood Landing on February 4th, 2019 at 7:45 PM in the Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, Mass General Law 131, Section 40. The proposed work location is 26 North Street, involves the repair of a failing asphalt access road, parking lot, and 2 timber retaining walls adjacent to the Mumford River. Okay.
Okay.
Welcome.
There's, I see our site up there, over there, that's the parking lot itself. This isn't, sorry, my name is Nancy Marshall.
Okay.
I'm with Ransom Consulting, and I'm here with a couple folks from Haywood Landing. Okay, so this is an aerial to give you an idea of what it looks like. You can get a sense over there of what the parking lot surface looks like. And what you see at the end there is the retaining wall, and then it dips down to the river. So those pictures here are looking along this edge of the parking lot here. The river is roughly right in this area right here. The edge of the parking lot is right there. And we've got 2 retaining walls that are approximately these 2 locations here that are starting to fail. And when I say fail, what we're seeing is that there's cracking and settlement, loss of material in a couple of areas of the parking lot right above the wall. So you know that material is getting in and behind the wall. This is a picture of this wall taken from here or so, looking up the wall. So you get a sense of what it looks like there. You've got parking lot right up to the edge of the wall, a little strip of land, timber-faced retaining wall that wraps around the end, steep slope down, and then the river right at the toe. Okay?
So what's failing?
What's failing is,
On this picture?
on this picture, you don't
Is this
see.
a good spot?
You don't, yeah, this is kind of okay, we're tying into this area. The failing parts that you see are actually up around the top in the pavement itself, where the cars are parked. Purpose of this picture is to give you a sense of the vertical wall and the proximity of the river. So, visually, you've got photos there. This is the site plan. You've got the parking lot coming in, buildings right here, edge of the parking lot right in there, and the 2 retaining walls, one here and one here. So they're existing walls. As far as wetlands go, we've got a little bit of wetland area right up against the riverbank there, and there's been some wetland area delineated along the riverbank right there. So the project itself is not disturbing any wetland area. We're obviously in the riverfront. And we are within maybe 20 feet in a couple of locations. There's an existing parking lot, an existing wall. So what the plan is, I gave you a couple of the face views, profile views that we have looking at the wall with the river at your back, looking at at the face of the wall, and you see that it's about 10 feet high at the highest, and then it kind of slopes up. As you can see in this picture, it slopes up to grade. The plan is to replace both sections of those wall, and the cool thing that they're doing with this project is they're not taking the wall out itself, they're keeping the wall in place. The plan is to excavate in behind the wall. So if you're looking at a cross-section here, the wall face is right here. They're excavating an area in behind the wall, and you can see that cross-hatched area in these locations here. And then they are backfilling it with geotextile wrap and compacted fill. So they're basically recompacting the material in behind the wall with the timber wall remaining in place. Once that's compacted, they've got tiebacks which will go back into the wrapped areas that will help support the wall in the future. And the only thing that we are doing really different in the riverfront area is at the toe of the wall. There is a 4-foot wide riprap apron around the bottom of the wall. And what that will do is actually help mitigate anything that's running down the face of the wall. And we've got stone drainage in behind the wall. There are weep hole pipes that will come out the bottom there, and they'll come out into that rock drain. So it will dissipate any water that's coming out from behind that wall before it enters down
Are
the
you
hill.
planning to take any trees down or any material?
No, it's all the existing.
On
it's
the
all
riprap area?
What?
For the riprap area?
No,
You're
there's
not
nothing,
planning-
no, there's
nothing?
nothing there. Nope.
So
It's
you're just gonna install the riprap as it is, right
up
there?
against the bottom of the wall, yep.
And
Yeah, as I said, they're planning on leaving that timber wall in place.
when you're saying repair and plumb existing timber wall, so what is that going to include?
What that's gonna include is if there are timbers that are rotted, and I'm not really sure that there are, if there were anything that need to be replaced, then they'd replace timbers. The main thing is to plumb it, which means that these tiebacks that they're using here would be tightened to get the wall back plumb. So if the wall is actually leaning a little bit, they can push on it, pull on it, and straighten it up.
So how do they install those tiebacks? From this side?
They're gonna have to install them from that side.
Okay.
And I don't, and
Which is the water side, right?
which is
Yeah.
the water
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, you could have a guy with a,
So they may be a guy over the front. I mean, there may be, there's not gonna be machinery, yeah, there's not
Okay.
intended to be machinery down there, but there
Right.
may be a person down there with a,
So you're installing all the riprap without a machine?
will be a guy carrying riprap down.
they've got a backhoe, and I can find out how they're actually placing that. There's probably a guy down there. They're not gonna be, the slope is too steep to have a machine running down there. They may
Right.
have a backhoe bucket that's reaching down over the side and placing it that way from the
Okay.
top. The plan is that all the work is gonna be done from the
Parking
parking
lot.
lot side.
Okay.
So, the riprap you're proposing to help with drainage that comes off the edge of the retaining wall.
Right.
So what happens,
So
I-
you can see,
Because they're installing they're installing a drain at the bottom.
right,
and
the
right
weed-
now it just kind of
weed
weeps
pipe.
through. And you can see like this area right here, which might be a little area where there was some erosion coming through. The riprap is gonna hold back any of that stuff that's coming down the face of the wall or anything that's getting discharged from behind the wall.
so, I mean, there are other places in this vicinity where riprap is installed. Do you have water coming up to that wall during high floods? Because
The
some,
flood zone is down
okay,
low.
That should be a good line because we just did the
That was a-
bridge
Yeah.
project.
That was a comment.
well, that was,
from the-
so that was my thing, because you have the bridge project, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, has some issues where the riprap's eroding.
What bridge?
The one-
new repair.
The new repair we just did.
Oh,
There's some riprap erosion. That was I was gonna have the same concern, is the riprap's falling into the river because of riprap's
So I
eroding.
guess,
Yeah,
is the
so-
riprap going to serve an actual
The riprap's
positive
not on the
purpose?
bank.
Right.
Yeah, the riprap is not on the bank. We're not disturbing riverbank at all. So if you're looking
Okay.
at here's the water
I
line
don't
here.
think their comment was more compensatory storage.
Yeah, there, well, she's saying no.
No, floodplain, not
Flood,
riverbank.
yeah, where's, yeah,
But
the
it says-
floodplain is,
The floodplain line is here.
that should be a good line, because we just did it for the bridge.
Well,
We're
that
gonna
should be
have to
what
unfold
they
the
call
sails.
a study floodplain.
Yeah, but, yeah,
Right,
we should have it
This drawing,
accurate.
it is,
because it's studied. So the flood elevation's accurate. There's some flood elevations are approximate.
Right.
Oh, there we go.
There's the flood, like that one on Chestnut.
Well, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
done for
The only place where it's close is right
So
here.
purple's floodplain?
Yeah, and you've got like a 4 foot wide area there. And it's stone, which means that the water's moving.
It's still
rip- it's
material
riprap.
filling.
Right, and eventually,
comments. Did you see their comments? Was that the?
No,
I didn't get a DEP, comment sheet
There's nothing
either,
in there?
in a very small.
no, that was not, were you guys provided, you weren't provided comments either.
Oh,
I
here
haven't
we
seen
go.
any comments.
Yeah, I got it. No, from DEP, online.
Yeah,
Site plans note that approximate limit of the 100-year floodplain bordering land subject to flooding was determined using 1982 FEMA flood maps according to 310 CMR 10.57 to A3. The limit of BLSF should be determined using the most recent NFIP flood profile data. Applicant should confirm that no fill, including riprap, is proposed within bordering land subject to flooding according to flood profiles contained in the flood study. There was a revision in 2014. If fill is proposed within the bordering land subject to flooding, performance standards contained in the 310 CMR 1057 4A must be met. So this is using 1982 FEMA map overlay.
Let me see.
So we've got to use the 2014 revised overlay, and I know our town engineer will have that specific line because we just repaired the bridge.
okay.
So that should be pretty. So we want to ensure that we're not within that 2014 map.
Okay, and so you want no riprap in within that.
Bordering
flood
land
area.
subject to flooding as shown on the 2014 amended map.
Did they send you that, or was that?
Yeah, it's online under the DEP number, but they don't typically. I don't think they email you, but they emailed us.
Yep, okay.
It's hard to keep track.
Yeah, I did not see that, okay. Was that the only comment that they had?
Here,
Was
Mike,
on
give
the,
this.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Thank you, that's
Yeah.
very helpful, I appreciate that, Steve.
Yes, that was the only
Yeah,
comment.
they should give that to the applicant.
They
I'm
never
surprised.
know. Oh, K. Marchand, N. Marshall,
Okay.
Ransom.
Yeah, I'm the N.
ENV.
Marshall.
Yeah,
What?
you got it. N. Marshall. and Ransom.
Friday, December 28th? I wonder if it went into my junk
Were you
mail.
on vacation?
I was, but I checked my mail, so I
It
wonder
was
if it
just
went,
after Christmas.
if it slipped into my junk mail
oh
or
yeah,
something.
in between Christmas and New Year's,
Yeah.
that's always, yeah.
But I do
That's-
check,
they were
I
working.
checked the mail that came in, but I wonder if it got caught up in my junk mail.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that would be the big one. I don't know the purpose of the riprap, just to catch like the
Right.
loopholes.
Yeah, and I need
don't
to-
know if the filling, like putting all that riprap, is really.
And honestly,
Beneficial.
I'm not the design engineer.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I'll ask
Just
them.
pacify them.
Yeah, I will ask them why they put that in there. As a geotech engineer, generally you put something across the toe. This wall is not embedded in any way. So putting something against the toe helps the kick out there. It just helps to
Right.
stabilize the wall. And then because of the weep holes there, what that's doing is helping to prevent a you know, an erosion channel when anything comes
But
out.
don't they
through there.
usually put them higher also?
What they're doing here, the original wall, I think, has stuff moving through the wall. What we've got
Oh,
here
just
is that
channelized.
there's a stone column right here, so everything is moving to the bottom
Okay.
and then coming out through there. So it may be that if it's just for that purpose, then there's the section where it's close is very small. They could move the weep holes over, and so
Yeah.
you've got, because they're 10-foot separated,
Yeah.
so you could put them on either side, so you don't have to put
Yeah, I would
stuff
say
there.
if
And if
there's,
that's the only section with, even for
Boarding
structural
land.
support and kick out, if you're only backing off a small section, it's not really gonna matter either, so. and-
Yeah.
but we can look at that. I'll talk to them about
Is-
that.
Is this the same body of work that they've been talking about for years?
Mhm.
It's, I mean, it was
Couple
years ago
years,
that,
yeah.
yeah, at least a couple of years
Yeah.
that they
we did
first proposed
the
doing something
testing
here.
and then, yeah.
Well,
This has
we,
been a
so,
project.
so this site, there was some work under Mass DEP under the waste site protection, waste site cleanup
Mhm.
program, because there was an oil tank here that had released. So there was
We
some
came
work
in
that
for
was
that.
done in this area, but I don't know that the wall in the parking lot. We did some, we
Maybe
did
it was
some
planning
test
board,
pits.
No,
but they
she
come-
was here.
We
Yeah.
did some
Good
test
time.
pits last summer
Yeah.
to explore the amount of contamination that was in there that we were gonna run into with this project. But it's taken a while to get up to this point
Yeah.
with the design issues.
Okay, all right, so I
So
think,
I have one more concern, like you said with the weep holes, the purpose of the riprap, and also I don't know that riprap is the best material to be used for a kick out there. Riprap is not considered ideal, it used to be a best practice and it's not really anymore.
well, and against a old timber wall.
So they got a
Okay.
structural, you got a structural?
Yeah, there's a structural engineer that put the plans together, so I'll run that by them.
Okay.
More activity within our jurisdiction that may not be necessary, there may be an alternative to, instead of shoveling over the,
Well,
Yeah, because you got some
riprap
nice
over the-
vegetation there that's holding that ground in there. I mean, it's really the
It's been there
vegetation
for how
does
long?
more than anything else you're gonna put in. So,
just something
yes.
to look at.
Something
You
to
still need
consider.
to look at the, that revised line
Okay.
for,
Yep.
corning land subject to flooding.
Mhm.
Okay. Mike, do you have anything else? Any questions?
Do we make a motion to continue?
I'm gonna ask anybody in the
Oh, yeah.
audience for 1 second. So this is a public hearing. Anyone in the audience have any questions or concerns? No? Okay. Are you good with March 4th?
Yep.
7:45.
Well, I move that we continue public hearing to March 4th, 7:30,
7:45.
7:35, excuse me.
We've already got.
7:45.
7:45.
40,
This one.
whatever.
Friendly amendment.
That was
Okay, motion
7:30,
made.
you're right.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll
Aye.
see you on the 4th.
Okay, so just to clarify, the only thing that you're looking for from us is is an updated FEMA line,
Mhm.
and then a discussion on whether there are alternatives to that riprap in the tow.
Yep.
And then we're good, okay.
And did you include on your big plans, you see a lot of words, a construction sequence, mentioning that they're only working from the driveway side?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And no machinery, we'll do our standard conditions, actually,
Yep.
but, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, as I said, if you look at that slope, there's not, you can't really put a whole lot of machinery over
Okay,
there.
yeah.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay. 8 o'clock, public hearing Southeast Main Street, lot number 7, M Bacon Realty LLC. Is anyone here for that? Do I see anybody? I don't know.
Must be.
one did not come back, and the public hearing.
Okay. Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing for M. Bacon Realty on February 4th, 2019 at 8 p.m. in the Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, Mass General Law 131, Section 40. The proposed work location will be done on lot number 7, Southeast Main Street. Assessor's map 222-20.1 and involves construction of a single-family house, driveway, well, and septic system. Construction activities include a wetland crossing and are within 100 foot of bordering vegetated wetlands.
Okay, for the record, Margaret Bacon, Civil Site Engineering. I'm the engineer, and I'm also the owner of this parcel. And I'm here requesting a permit for a wetland crossing on lot 7. Just to get your bearings, if you're heading down Southeast Main Street, right before you hit Vine Street, which is right up here.
Going south.
What's that? Yeah,
I'm sorry.
okay.
You're
So-
not in a butter, right?
I don't think so. I live on Southeast Main, but I'm,
Right, Vine Street.
which way are we going?
All right, we're heading
Where's-
south. Vine
Heading
Street's
south.
right here.
Yeah,
So center of town, or the main, or Route 16, coming down Southeast Main Street about a mile. Vine Street,
I'm 4 houses past,
Here's, let me check
past
here.
line.
Let me see if you're on the
heading
list.
south,
Yes,
Oh, you've
on
got
on the
the,
right or the left?
on the left.
Oh, okay, you're up over here, you're not in the butter.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
I've got the list right here. Let me see, Mike, if you're on here.
You shouldn't be, I think you're too far.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, 4 or 5 houses.
oh, I like this.
Just plain. See, it's
one
right
makes
here.
sense.
This is Vine.
Yeah, there's that locus,
Aren't you over here?
no, he'd be up here,
Or over here?
yeah, he's up here.
Okay.
Depends on which way we're going. We're going toward
This is Vine.
town, toward the gazebo?
That's
or-
towards the gazebo.
Yeah, so I'm over here.
Yonder.
Okay.
Okay, well, now that
Well,
we
we
solved
cleared
that
that.
there,
Yep,
all right.
Cleared that up.
So basically, I'm looking to build a single-family house up here on the knoll, which is all uplands. I did perk tests up there several years ago. So the house and the septic system, I'm able to keep outside the 100-foot buffer zone. Down here, though, I did put the wetland crossing at the narrowest wetland area. So coming in from Southeast Main Street, I have a 12-foot wide proposed driveway. There's a, I believe it's 80-foot crossing at the narrowest spot. And I've put in a 3-sided box culvert, a floorless culvert. 6 feet wide, 3 feet high, so I do meet the stream, Massachusetts stream standards above and beyond. I over-designed this thing quite a bit, actually. So, and then also Steve mentioned too, I did locate the center line of the stream several years ago when we did the survey. And so, and actually this blue line indicates it is an intermittent stream. And right upstream from it, where it crosses underneath Southeast Main Street and goes into LaRue's property, this is a 12-inch culvert right here. So that's pretty much going to be the restricting.
Sizing.
Right, but I've also, like I said, I did over-design this, and one of the reasons I over-designed it is with a wider width, I'm going to try to preserve the stream bed as much as I can. If you make these things too narrow, you've got no room. So it's, like I said, a 6-foot wide by 3-foot high box culvert. It meets all the stream standards, and as far as 100-year storm event, above and beyond the 100-year. So, and then I also have the amount of wetland impacts. Actually, if I go on the second page, BVW impacts are 2,400 square feet. I'm proposing to replicate 3,600. And the reason I kind of put the replication area here next to the driveway, because a lot of this area sometimes end up getting disturbed anyways. So instead of, I did look at other areas on the site to do it, but I didn't really want to go in there and disturb areas that were far away from construction anyway, so I pretty much kept all the disturbance kind of adjacent to each other. So I've got the replication area on both sides of the driveway, paved driveway going in, and then I get into the septic in the house, and I'm beyond the 100-foot buffer zone. And the well's actually gonna be in the buffer zone too.
So you're not putting in a bridge or anything, you're just putting in a culvert?
A three-sided culvert, correct.
Which looks like a bridge, it's just
Pardon?
Right.
not a bridge, it's a big
Yeah.
square culvert.
So did you have a measurement on the bed, the stream bed? You're saying you're preserving it. I only see like a little circle right there.
Well,
With a flume.
what I did here is, I know per the stream standards, you do this during low flow, okay? And so sometimes, if there is flow and it's necessary, you put in a temporary culvert. Or just actually, all you do is you lay it in a PVC pipe, you know, 12 to 18-inch PVC pipe, just in case there is any flow. You know, then you put sandbags at the inlet of it so you keep all the flow going through, just in case if there's a rain event or something like that. But actually, so the stream that flows through here, right here, now this is all rocks, a lot of rocks. So, you know, I estimate the width of that stream is, well, that's not a good, about 3 feet. That's getting down more into the wetlands. But if you come upstream more, you know,
Well, I'm right where you're crossing.
I'm trying to figure out whereabouts.
So that looks a lot wider.
It was hard to determine. That was one of my comments where the bank itself, I know we got a lot of high flow, but
Well, right, you go out there in the summertime and it's a whole lot more defined, and it is dry as a, quite dry in the summertime. But, yeah, right now it's kind of tough because it is kind of wet, then you got the snow and the ice, and a lot of it's just, it's wetlands, but where is the real flow? And like I said, we did our best, you know, guesstimate on where that stream channel flows through here, because that whole thing is not that wide, you know, realistically, because it's coming out of a 12-inch culvert.
And when did you flag this?
Geez, initially I flagged this,
2015?
yeah, it was a couple of years ago, and then I went back out and I refreshed the wetland flags again.
So do we need a more defined bank as far as that location for the crossing?
well, when I went out there, it was hard to determine where the bank. I know I saw this flow and stuff. It's hard. I mean, it's a good spot to do the crossing when you see the entire site, but the bank itself, it was just hard to
Well, it's
determine how you got your.
Like I said, I did the best I could with the stream flow, because like you
Right.
say, it's all rocks, and some of the
Right.
flow's underground, and so it's not a typical defined stream bank, not in that area.
So in May, you had, that was the smallest point. So you refreshed the flags from May, and they were about the correct location when you went out there
Well,
that
the
time?
wetland flags. I didn't,
Yeah.
no
Well,
bank,
I can go back out.
no
and-
bank flags.
Yeah, well, there is some, and you wouldn't have seen them, because there's hardly anything left of them.
Right.
The blue tails, I noticed a couple were still there, but like I said, there were just tiny little pieces left in the trees. So,
So I'm asking because in May, it would probably be a more defined
I-
channel than
I
it
think it
is
would be
now.
good if you put a stake at the head walls of the crossing.
oh, okay.
So
Sure.
So you can, and then, so you can kind of get a relationship of where the, you know, in this picture here, you probably have where you see the crossings, and then
Yeah.
it'd be advantageous, you know, during the right conditions, go out there when, I mean, there's a lot of sheet flow, there's a lot of high groundwater, a lot of icing,
Right.
which is causing the water to flood. I did see the one area where a stream was trickling wasn't really that wide.
Right.
But when you go out there and see this, because of the conditions, it's frozen, and a lot of it's sheet flowing, so it's difficult.
Right, a lot of pockets
So
of
maybe
water all
if you
over the
stake out the
place.
crossing itself.
Sure.
And then we can get a perspective,
Sure.
and we can go upstream and downstream, because
Sure.
when you go downstream, right where the stone wall corner is, I don't know if I took a picture of it, the corner, no, the stream goes underneath there.
Oh, right through
Goes
here?
through, right underneath, so you can see the width of the stream, downstream and upstream, and maybe get that as a good gauge.
Okay.
Okay.
And
It goes, if you go, it's pretty neat though, it goes right underneath the, I don't know if I took a picture of it.
And what is this proposed plantings on either
Well, what
side
I
here?
like to do, instead of, you mentioned earlier, instead of using rocks for slope stabilization, now, I believe I have 2-to-1 slope here, there's no reason why we can't use vegetation to stabilize those slopes instead of, you know, rocks or a retaining wall. Now, I could reduce the impacts of that wetland crossing by putting in vertical concrete walls, but for what purpose? You know, I'd rather vegetate the slopes and do 2-to-1 slopes and put in concrete structures.
Okay, I do have amounts.
Yeah, on the second page, I get into, here's for the replication area, the planting schedule, and then, and over here on the slopes, actually willows and red osier dogwood to be planted along driveway banks and wetland crossing. They're not only wetland plants, but they're also great for slope stabilization and wildlife habitat. Yeah, so I got willow, yeah, right there on the front page, willow and dogwood.
They're key of what all the plants are. Right?
Yeah, so that's for the replication area, but if you go back to the front page, right there at the crossing, I key out the plants there for the stabilization.
You have a construction sequence for the stabilization under the crossing area?
So I get a construction sequence right here. So typically, what I would be my recommendation in my experience, you go in there and you know, stake out the driveway, the construction, you do all the clearing and grubbing of the driveway, you go in there and put in the crossing, and then you do the replication area after the fact. You know, when the, you know, the work in this area is pretty much done, and then you come back in here and you do this.
Yeah, so the stabilization's gonna be a part of the crossing, as
Correct.
far as bonding is concerned, so that'll be part of the bonding. I don't see.
Where is Vine?
Crossing.
Vine
So we'll
slash
just
Elm on your drive. Is it down here?
Vine Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, if you come right up here.
Oh, way up there.
Right here, Mike, on the screen here. This is the property here.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me highlight it for you.
So are you saying
And here's
you're,
Vine right here.
Okay.
Your house is over here.
Yeah, I know. Vine, so it's Vine slash Elm down there where
Yeah,
you
that's
had
right.
it pointing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a little closer to town. Okay.
so you're saying that there's going to be 4 and 4 plants?
No, there'll be a lot more than that.
Okay.
'Cause I guess I didn't spell out exactly how many there.
Yeah, because we're gonna bond
Sure,
this with
okay.
the, to include that for stabilization. I think that's pretty important for, I don't think you're planting them, right? Or maybe you are?
I may.
For the
I may,
construction of the-
Absolutely, I may.
Okay, for the
So-
construction of that crossing, that's gonna be included for
Well, I'm gonna
our
be paying for the bonding, so I'm
Bond.
gonna, I will be, yes. We'll
free
make su-
labor.
Well, I'll make sure it's done right, so,
Yeah, just when we're coming up with the bond, you know, we wanna know how many
Sure.
you're gonna do. If
Okay.
you're gonna do 4 or
No,
8
no, all right,
plants,
I'll-
I don't know
I'll-
if that's gonna
I'll get you
be
the number
You
of
get the well
plants.
line
Yeah.
and then any utilities,
poles
poles or lines.
All right, I'm sure it's
or
gonna,
underground.
I'm sure it's gonna be overground, actually, all right, so, overground. Overhead, they'll probably somewhere in here, then,
Your free pole,
your free poles, what, that's 200 feet?
150.
Oh, 150 is only
I'm pretty sure.
150, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'll find out,
There's no way to really tell until you get a foundation in.
yeah.
But yeah, I would probably propose 1 within the.
Yeah, okay.
So you've got the lines across the street off of pole 44,
Yeah,
and you're probably going to the
yeah.
right side of the driveway.
So I'll have to pay for probably 1 pole. So let's say that's a 30.
It's more than that.
So let's see,
Once you go underground, it's cheaper.
so yeah,
Yep.
I'm sure 1 pole is gonna be on
So I would do proposed pool, because we did have that come up where somebody was, the National Grid was concerned with
My
that
dad
pool.
Okay, all right,
on Walnut.
all right. I'll show the poles.
Yeah, they wanted it, they wanted this conservation plan approved,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
National Grid.
National Grid.
before they tell you where the poles were going?
Well, they wanted that,
They had a proposed pool location within our
they
jurisdiction.
wanted it approved.
Oh, okay, all right. Like you said, well, based off of, like you said, 150 feet, I mean, I know definitely one's probably gonna go before the culvert, I'm probably gonna have another one right before the well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest will probably be possibly underground, so.
Good catch, Steve. Yeah, if you wanna just add a note on the, just in case you don't do the plantings, with the crossing stabilization, shall include those plantings. Did you have, this? So this is your construction sequence?
Yeah.
If we go to the audience too,
Yeah.
Can you get an address?
You know,
I'm surprised you don't have
I
one.
did, you know, and I went to the assessors and they gave me an address and I don't think it's
You
the
didn't
right
like it?
one. Well, no, 145, I think that belongs to another house.
They
So I,
don't give out, it's the building department.
the building, well, yeah, the building department, I'm sorry, I went to the building department. And there was some confusion in that area because they didn't have enough numbers going
We like to
out.
tie- Before we do the order of conditions, we
Yeah,
like to
yeah,
tie
I'll-
it to an address.
Sure.
Lots, you know how many lot
Like a-
sevens we
So
have
maybe you
now?
go back asking
Yeah.
a different person.
Well, like I said, they gave me one, but I don't think it's the
You
right
want to
one.
use it just in
Yeah.
case.
Well, I don't think it's,
No,
there's
no,
another,
that's fine.
there's another number, 145, so, yeah, okay.
So I'm 137, and 145 is behind me. It's the log cabin that's behind me. It's about 750 feet behind.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, so that's why I
must have
didn't
missed
use
that
it.
one.
So that's
Alright.
145.
They usually skip pretty, you know.
But I guess they didn't leave
Yeah.
enough,
they usually
available
skip 20
there.
numbers, right, you know, because of the A&R lots. They
Well-
usually leave themselves enough room.
well, there was some, that for some reason, they didn't leave enough there, so. Well, I'll get that before the next meeting.
Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Just makes it confusing years from now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, we've all moved on in our lives. Hopefully I'm not still here. I mean, did I say that? You gotta take over. And then the stone retaining walls. You're gonna use stones that are on site? Cause it looks
There's
pretty
plenty of them.
stony.
There's
It is
plenty.
stone. It's
Okay,
Natural,
so.
natural stone.
Natural
It's really
stone.
not that bad where the house is going. It's kind of. a
Oh, it's
nice
beautiful
little-
up
beautiful
in the
view.
back.
Yeah, looking over the stream.
Well, it
the
looks
valley.
like
It-
you're gonna have to go through the stone wall too, so you're gonna.
There is a little, actually, it doesn't show it here, there is a little gap in that stone wall, but there is some, yeah, there's plenty of stones on
Okay.
site, so.
And then you're just doing that on one side. Right.
I like the driveway.
Here's
Well,
a
actually, I
stone
should,
wall
I
here.
should have it on both, I don't know. Oh, that's just the flume, that's a temporary flume, that's
Yeah, I'm
all that
looking
is.
at the. Where did I see?
In order to make the grading work, I do have to do two, little, stone retaining walls to grade right into them, so.
Yep.
Where did I see? Okay, just on one side.
No, I have it on both. If you look in,
Oh, okay. Alright.
just to make the grading work.
Oh, stone retaining walls, that's what I was looking at. On another picture. Oh, right here. Here. Okay. Board, any other questions?
No.
Steve?
No?
Audience? Yes?
Hi, I'm Lorraine Leggo, 137 Southeast Main. I'm just curious, when you start to put in that culvert, there's gonna be some, obviously some disruption to that water flow. I mean, what are we looking for time frame? Because that water will flood my front yard.
Once they start that, like the gentleman said before, they'll have everything ready. It shouldn't take more than a week. Because they won't start excavating till that culvert's on site and everything's ready. And then once everything's there, then, yeah, they want to be in and out of
And
there.
during the low flow.
They
Low
also
flow.
have the note on the drawing to be done at a dry time.
So sometime during the summer.
Yeah,
Yes.
once you see the DEP sign and the erosion control, then you know it's
It's coming.
coming.
So, what do we say, July or September?
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? No? Okay, so we have a few little notes. Do we want to do a site walk? Go at our leisure? Want to go at your leisure?
Sounds kind of fun.
Okay. When do you think you'll get the bank staked out?
I can get them out later this week. Say,
Okay.
give me till Thursday.
Okay, so if you want to go Saturday morning? Steve?
I can meet you Saturday morning.
A time? At your leisure?
Might snow
I was gonna say,
Don't say
between
that.
now and then.
How dare you? It's springtime.
Almost.
It's already spring.
so, I could do it.
10.
Saturday is the
I
10th.
have an appointment at 10, so I could do 9.
I'm booked from 8 to 4:30, so
Okay, you go Sunday
I can go Sunday.
at her leisure.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to go, it's 9 o'clock on Saturday. Steve will be there.
Do you want me to meet you out there? No, just have the thing staked.
Yeah,
Okay.
you understand what Steve's looking for, right?
Yep.
Yeah, just go upstream,
Yep, sure.
downstream.
Yep.
Like, you get around that corner, it gets defined when you get around where the stone walls, that corner.
Up
No,
here?
up north.
Oh,
Right
all
there,
right,
you
okay,
s-
all right.
Because you're down gradient a little,
Yep,
so it starts, it tears into the
Spreads.
soil, it carved the path already, so.
okay, all right. All right.
Water does that. Okay. And did you get a DEP number yet?
No,
Okay.
unless you got something, Steve, but,
I didn't,
sometimes you get an email before they show it up online.
I
but-
do,
Yeah, but nothing.
I didn't get anything, sorry.
Okay, all
Well,
right.
my email's down, so.
I've got nothing in the folder. Alright, I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for Southeast Main Street to March 4th at 8 PM.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good one.
Yep.
Okay, 8:15, public meeting, 12 Cottage Colony. Dermot Collins, come on over. Do you want to sit at the table?
By the way,
Or do you have a presentation?
Yeah, no, I don't have any charts.
Oh, okay.
just go in, just go in your stack over there.
Yeah.
Is it hers?
And name, do you have the ad? The paper?
Yeah, I do, yeah. That's it. With a small print.
Let me just put this back in here.
Is your magnifying glass in there? I'm gonna put one
I
in.
can read this one a little bit better. Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting for Dermot Collins on February 4th, 2019 at 8:15 PM in the Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40. The proposed request for determination of applicability work location is 12 Cottage Colony, Douglas, Mass. And the applicant is requesting permission to remove 5 trees on property that are causing root damage to abuse plus dangerous from falling branches. Okay.
Okay, so
Can you see the video?
Yeah. you can see the two, there's one tree that's leaning over into 16. And the other one's right beside the deck.
The one right there, oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
By
and the
deck.
rest of them are up the side of the house. So the
Those aren't going. No. The one, these aren't. Right to the right.
yeah, these ones you see between the side of the house and the property line.
They all have the yellow ribbons around them.
Yeah, yeah.
So the one next to the deck,
Yeah, them two, and then at the side of the other
Yeah.
side of the house.
Oh, you want to take? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
now you can see the yellow rubber. How many trees in total we talking about?
5, there's 3 of them there,
Oh, I see the other two.
yeah.
Oh, the little cat.
One of the cats.
So what's the distance,
Is that one or two?
from the
You're
bank?
Probably,
We're
the-
saving that one close by the bank, right? On the corner there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's
So
good,
there's
yeah.
one next to the deck.
Yeah.
There's 2 small ones on the property line, and then the 2 where the hammock was?
Just
There's
3
three
there.
on that side.
Okay.
There's,
Was that
there's a
6 or
house.
5?
It's 5. So
Yeah.
1 by the deck, 2 on this property line,
Mm-hmm.
3 on this property line.
Yeah, that's it.
That's 6.
No, it's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. I'll have to
And-
see it one more time.
3 and 2.
Do you wanna see it one more time? I was gonna show you the,
I thought there was 2 on the hammock side.
Yep,
here you go.
that's
These 2
4
here.
and 5.
Oh, I thought that one, I thought
No.
there was 2 on the property
These 2
line.
here, and then the 3 on the right side.
Okay.
And then the 3 on, so right here, 1, 2, and then 3 over here.
yeah.
Okay.
Let me see how far they are, see if I can zoom in.
Just the closest one?
The closest one?
Mm-hmm. Probably the one at the deck.
It's probably
here?
25 feet maybe. Looks like it's halfway. Actually,
And how do you plan to cut them down?
no, gotta get an arborist.
Okay, climbing?
I'm looking about 30, 40 feet maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they gonna climb them?
I don't know. I have to get a guy in. I just wanted to, he said you have to get permission first. So like whoever I get's gonna be, you know,
Okay.
someone from town probably.
So we can condition this for as long
No
as the board is.
machinery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So it has to be, so meaning
Parking
machinery on
within.
wheels, right? A chipper or a bucket truck or anything, nothing like that. What you would have to do is your
Within
No, they
tree
one-
prob-
guy.
yeah,
within
they
the
probably have to get
100.
someone to climb, yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he carries everything off,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
you
yeah.
carry, or
Yeah, he'd bring
they
it
could park.
outside, yeah.
Yeah, they could park a chipper in the street or something.
Yeah. Yep.
But
Yeah, no, there'll be nothing coming, you won't get a truck in there anyway, so,
right.
yeah.
So that's our condition.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
then leave
fine.
the stumps.
Leave the stones?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Not like you can get a machine back there to do
No,
anything
actually
to
not.
them, but that'll be that would be a condition. Anything else? It's gonna limit it to the 5 trees
Yeah.
with
that's
the
fine, too.
caution tape.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would move to
Sure.
to grant permission to remove the trees with the 3 conditions we just listed.
Grant a negative
Yeah, issue a negative,
Negative and
yeah.
determination
Oh,
of
one negative.
applicability.
negative, yeah, determination of applicability. Yep, with the conditions.
Was that a motion?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Thank you.
motion's been made.
So do
You're
I need
pretty
to
clear.
You'll get something from Maria in the mail.
Oh, sweet.
Just stop by and talk to the building department.
Okay.
Myself, you know, Maria, I don't know if you dealt with Maria,
Just,
with the conservation yet.
yeah, I do,
Yeah,
yeah.
just a
And
couple
just
days.
let him know, let Steve know,
Before
or
you start.
Maria, before
Yeah,
you
it's
start.
probably, yeah, it's gonna be when the weather picks up, I'm sure.
All right,
Just
give me a
so
call before
if
you
we
start.
get any
Yeah.
concerned neighbors,
So
they
you got
know
a
that.
permit now.
Oh, great.
Yes. I didn't actually make a formal vote
Oh.
yet, but that's okay. I just want to make sure the applicant knows to let Steve know before you're gonna do it,
Yeah. Okay.
just in case, because people will call and say, "Hey, what's happening?"
Yeah,
So just so that everybody knows what's happening.
okay.
So the motion was made for negative, and it was seconded by Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you
That's
so
it.
much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
That was painless.
Yes.
All right. See you, have a nice day.
Thank
Same
you.
to you.
Okay, do we want to?
Someone-
Um,
I'm gonna leave
Right.
I emailed this afternoon, I talked to Maria today.
okay, I'll give you 5 minutes.
That's all I need.
Okay.
My name is Catherine Peterson, I live on, at 229 Southeast Main, seems to be a popular street today.
Yes, we know where it is.
And, So I'm at 229, and so the Keegan land that was donated to the town is behind us. And then there's an access road between our property and the I'm not sure how you say it, Chartier. I forget what their house number is.
It's right here. 229?
I'm 229.
Yeah, that's the highlighted.
Okay, and so then to the left of us, north or west.
This side?
Yeah. So that's.
Is that the one
Art
with the
and
little
Jennifer.
parking?
And then there's that, you can probably even see that there's an access road.
Well, this is the
lane.
Keven, this is the
Yep.
conservation.
And then
lane.
there's the access lane.
Right here, yeah.
Yeah. So, so when we moved in the early 90s, like, we got permission from Tom to use the land for walking or horseback riding or clearing the trails, and he basically said, do whatever you want, you know, because he used the trails as well. So we've never needed any access from that access lane. But now that the ownership has gone to the town, we want to, I understand that we need to, you know, have permission to use the land, and maybe, is it okay if we can keep clearing the trails that are back there? We've let them in the last year or so. There's a lot of fall downs, but we know where the basic trails are. But like, we walk our dogs back there quite a bit, but one of the longer trails just needs to be cleared a little bit. But then we also, across the street, Grandy's property, that's
Here?
fortunately been sold, yes. Those guys have 2 horses, and they would like to access the, that's 218 is their property. And they would like to access the access lane and to go to the back. So nothing has been done in that access lane to clear any kind of path for a horse. Art and I aren't exactly sure. Like, we've seen the 4 surveyors posts that indicate like our property lines, but there's no, you know, like, we don't know exactly where it is. And so it's number 1, can we clear a path for the horses? And number 1 would be, can we get a clear delineation of where that access path is? And then 2, can we clear a path for the horses to get to the back land and the other trails?
Okay. Steve?
But
Well,
there's a rock
I
wall
think
too.
that there's a pin, I think there's a pin on your
Yes,
back,
yep,
on your back corner.
there's 2
and
there's 2
there's
pins,
2
one of
pins
ours and one of
mark,
Art's.
that mark this, and then I
Yeah.
think there's a drill hole in the pin.
There's 2, yes,
Drill
there's 2
hole,
pins
so,
up there.
so the 4 corners of this rectangle are
But
marked.
it kinda goes down a hill.
Why it would be,
and
you'd
we're-
have to, you know,
And Art's
pull a-
nervous.
pull a string or something, or you'd have to make sure, I don't think that
Sounds like a Boy
the
Scout
property
project.
line, right. Yeah, but there is pins throughout the property.
No wetland.
I mean, along that lane,
No,
there's
all the
pins, or
corners,
just
I think
the-
all the corners
Yeah,
are
but see, we
marked.
know where the corners are.
Of this big property, of like these, all these
Oh,
corners
yeah,
are
well,
marked.
no, I haven't really.
But these corners are marked. But I
Yeah,
think, I mean, it's up to the commission, but clearing, you know, maintaining and clearing, I think the citizens want to maintain and clear the existing paths. Is that what you're looking to do throughout the property?
yeah, like, there's a couple trails that we have historically used. There's, that we would like, but one has kinda gotten in the last year with all of the stuff that came down, it needs a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then primarily, we just wanna get them access down that access lane, but we wanna make Art and Jennifer, the Chartiers, they don't want any foot on their property. You know, they don't want a horse to, I think Karen Grandy kind of made it miserable for a lot of us, but they don't want any horse to, any part of the
Step onto
horse's
their
body
property.
to step on their property, so
Yep.
we
So-
kind of, you know,
Yeah,
it's.
So I mean, what I recommend is maybe if you come up with a proposal, what they, you know, what you'd like to do, what they would like to do to clear, you know, line that area, and then I know the civil site were the surveyors that staked it out.
So
So maybe they might be able to stake the center line out, or.
we don't have a wetlands map either. Like that's.
There's nothing
Yeah,
in
we
that
do.
area.
There is a stream.
I don't have one here.
Yeah.
Oh, there's,
Right.
yeah, there's no wetlands along there though.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Well,
down-
along
it's
the-
down-
but
we actually
within
got
the
an email.
property,
This
though.
area, when
Yeah.
this was, the Kevens donated, there's actually an easement on this property.
Yep.
It's supposed to be a little parking area.
Yes.
easement for people to park and then this area to walk. So that was all part of,
Yes.
this would go a long way. If some of the, want to donate their time to do that work, if we had a plan together and the commission oversaw it as they were doing it, that'd be great, I think. That's just my opinion.
Yep.
That would be my
Yeah.
opinion also, because then it
So
would
there's-
be more
so-
more accessible to
And then-
the whole
And
town.
then eventually you're supposed to put we could put a sign up that the Keevens donated it. I think that was part of some of the negotiations.
So we should probably get clarification on the negotiations, and then what restrictions there are on the property.
Sure.
So this did come up with other project that, because there is some wetland areas, right,
Yes,
on the,
oh.
near the trails and stuff.
Well, there's like, way back
there's a-
when we used to go over, like when we were heading down the trail, we'd go over it, so I guess west. It's all
Yeah,
over in
that-
there and it's a hot mess. So we stay, we
So-
don't even go anywhere
No,
near
but there's
there.
there's trails that go through it.
There is a trail that goes through, but it's pretty boggy.
I might have photos.
Okay.
There's a crossing over that
Yeah,
stream.
yes,
And,
yeah.
it's
The
quite
big-
nice throughout there.
The big yellow triangle,
Yeah.
that's the chunk of land that's conservation land?
No.
No.
This is.
So what is it? Why is it big and
Well,
yellow?
that's, the triangle is the people have horses that wanna go up this little neck.
Yeah, so I think if
People,
You come
the
up
only
with-
way, the only way to access this, Mike, is
Yeah,
right here
oh.
where that little neck is.
Yeah, what had me confused was you had
Oh.
a big
yeah,
yellow.
where the horses were coming from.
And
So
so
y-
right now, there's a rock wall on Southeast Main before that little neck.
Mhm.
And, but for our neighbor, for the people across the street, we have like a little dirt lane that's right abuts that, the access lane.
Mhm.
And there's like 3 feet in on that access lane, there's a break in the wall that they could just walk on and then curve. We wouldn't want that to be the permanent one once it's open to the public, but for Billy and Caesar, that's fine.
Is this your house? This is you here?
Yes.
So I
Yeah,
think
I talked to you.
Yeah,
What?
I think we were both there and you guys came out.
I think what would be good, maybe you can work with Steve on
Yeah.
a map. We'd like to get that parking area, figure out how we're gonna get the sign. If you're gonna do it, let's do it right and get it accessible for everyone, and make sure we're within our purview of the control of the activities on the property. So there are other towns, and we were moving forward to, I think, limit the activities or regulate activities. We should have our own, regulations for the
Right.
conservation land.
Like saying whether or not they're motorized vehicles or something,
Right,
right?
so a lot of the towns do have
Occasionally,
those.
Yeah, occasionally you hear some, but.
So if there's no regulations, you can effectively do everything.
yeah, it'd be
And if
nice
you open that up, we don't wanna open it up, and I think it's a simple policy adoption. So Maria did email me, and I emailed her, handbook guidelines for protected land and, a sample from the town of Uxbridge for their land use, their conservation land, and what they allow. So I think that this is a great start, but we need to more
let's
define what
pursue
you think, what your vision is, description of the activities, that, to get it prepped. I do want to include that parking area and the sign. And then,
And there's a rock wall that has to be breached,
Right.
that comes across the.
yeah, so
Yeah, I
the
know.
stones will remain or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah,
roll them out of the way.
yeah, everyone's.
There's no jurisdictional, so you could have a machine in there. There's, as far as conservation jurisdiction, so you could, curl it up or whatever you want to do as far as an entrance with that wall.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's where, that wall is also like, even if you had a midpoint, but if there was a way to have clear delineation of the access lane across that wall there. Because it's kind of at a slant and again, we just wanna, we need to know exactly where the Chartier's line is.
Might be good just to see how much it is to stake it.
Mm-hmm. Can
And
I
you-
request a quote from Margaret?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
She
in
can
the,
volunteer her time.
and in the
that sounds-
meantime, is it okay for us in the main part of in the main acreage to keep like clearing our paths and stuff like that?
Just with what tools?
I have a really powerful pair of loppers. My husband has a chainsaw, but that's usually not we've had to clear some, when trees have fallen over, we've had to take the chainsaw back there sometime. But,
Okay. I
but
think
usually we
that's,
just use. I've gone through-
reasonable.
I know how.
So your only activity right at this moment is going to be clearing the defined path, the
Sure.
previously
Mhm.
blazed paths that exist there.
Okay,
And then we'll move to the next level.
okay. So what's the time frame on the, so, okay, so that's good, because we were thinking like, if we can go ahead and keep clearing and maintaining those paths in the back, then we could just let Billy and Caesar walk their horses on our property until we get the access lane resolved.
Yeah, so
So-
Steve's got a list, if you wanna touch base with him before our, March 4th, so it's a month you have to kind of think about, you know, how we're gonna go about this. He's gonna get a quote. We'll just double check that. We could probably have a draft, use regulations, maybe, from,
I'll take a look at what the,
from town council. Sure, as a sample
okay.
for our conservation land use and regulations. Just so that we, you know, liability wise and, there's no sign there right now, so we have to put a sign that says, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we have no liability,
Oh, okay.
right?
I don't know if we have done any of our lands.
I know.
Okay, we wanted to. Okay.
I think whatever is the correct thing, that's what I want.
Okay.
You know, we're starting from scratch.
All right, well, that's, sure.
Okay, so what do I need to do?
Right now, you just, well, just start clearing those trails if you wanna give me a call.
And if you wanna write, Steve an email, Steve and Maria, or Maria can pass it to us, but you have Steve's email,
So send, is that my email to you?
Yes.
So send that, or do you need something more detailed, or?
Yeah, what you'd like to do,
Okay.
besides the trimming of the trails right now.
So what you just
What
told
your
us, but
vision,
in writing,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
and I'll try to get that rolling.
And so I'm
Yeah,
gonna
but-
just send that to you,
Yes,
you and Maria? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do that. Thank you so much for your
You're
time. I appreciate
welcome.
it.
Certainly.
I found
And if
this
you
whole
wanna
thing
get
very
on,
educational.
yeah, if you wanna get on the discussion for the March 4th, you can just let Maria know.
Okay.
I should put it on your
I would
agenda.
like a little map too of that parking area and where the
Yeah, I like
access
that.
is.
Like maps, like pictures.
Steve can
I
work
have
with
the
you
map.
on
I have the
that.
map of the
Okay.
land,
Yeah.
the land.
Yeah.
that they donated.
Yeah, so there is that area. So with Margaret's proposal, we should include that area. But other than that, jurisdictionally, we've got nothing, right? Nothing within 100 feet.
Of this area here, I don't
Yeah.
think, no, I don't think so.
So we'll
'Cause
just
this is all
double
on
check
top of the
that.
hill.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It goes down, I think, maybe this wooded area.
Mm-hmm.
This is all down slope, right?
Yes. Yes, all down slope.
Okay. Awesome. So
Well, thank you so much.
we're moving
Appreciate it.
forward, at least.
And your email is on the website.
Mike, you want to look at
I'll give it- I'll
the
put here.
12-3?
All right.
Okay.
Do we?
Or do you want to save them for the next meeting? You want to save them?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Alright, we made it through.
We're missing a number or two that Steve could probably provide, an ANRAD number.
Yeah, well, we noted that for November 5. We can, you're saying December 3
Carry
is
it.
missing them too?
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I think this,
Any other discussion topics?
Oh, no.
My lovely members? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
you can
Any
hit that
type of
number.
motion.
I can't think.
We'll put
I'll make a
them on
motion.
hold.
Oh.
December 3rd and January 7th.
Alright.
We review them as
Then
come
we
from
don't
your
have to do
home.
anything. Right?
Right.
Yes, so I will make the motion then to adjourn this evening.
Go here, second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.